Hi, everybody. I'm Chris Preimesberger, editor of eWEEK. Thank you very much for joining us today for this latest segment of eWEEK eSpeaks. This is a series, a long-running series, actually, of casual conversations with IT thought leaders from all over the business. Our interviewee today is Sanjay Uppal. Sanjay is the Senior Vice President of the Service Provider and Business and Edge Business Unit at VMware. Sanjay, welcome.
Thank you. Thanks, Chris. Very glad to be here.
Yeah, VMware is one of my favorite companies. I love reading, writing, and talking to people at VMware because there's so much innovation going on there. Always has been. Tell me, Sanjay, a little bit about your role at VMware.
Right. So I got into VMware through the acquisition of a company where I was CEO and co-founder. That company was VeloCloud Networks, and it was in the SD-WAN space. And I've been here for 3 years. And very recently, we formed a new business unit called the Service Provider and Edge Business Unit. So that comprises 3 areas. One of the areas is SASE, also stands for Secure Access Service Edge, because a lot of things, as you know, are moving to the edge. The other area is really communication service providers, because they're going through a world of change as they're trying to modernize their network and monetize services that run on top of them. And then the third area is edge computing, because a lot of applications are now becoming more edge native or edge in. So at VMware, we decided to combine these business units together just in the beginning of April, and I run that business unit.
Okay, well, it couldn't be more timely with all the changes that are happening in the workplace today.
Certainly.
Both in offices and at home and in remote locations. So this is a very interesting time, and out of interesting times, interesting solutions, I think. And we're going to be seeing some of those and talking about some of those right now. eWEEK has a series of articles that we're publishing called under the main headline, "The Home as Enterprise Branch." Mm-hmm. And that takes in quite a bit. It's a short little sentence, but it takes in quite a bit involving networking, collaboration tools, security. There's a long list of things. VMware is addressing that directly, and I suppose it's addressing it directly from you and your team. Could you tell us a little bit about, I think, what VMware likes to call VMware Anywhere?
Yeah, so we came into this solution called VMware Anywhere Workspace, partly because we already had businesses that were targeting employees' productivity through our Workspace ONE solution. But the pandemic actually accelerated a lot of our plans. And with the pandemic, what happened is enterprises, if you considered an enterprise of a branch, a 500 site enterprise, with 5,000 employees, all of a sudden those 5,000 employees went to work from home or went to work from a coffee shop, and you had a great increase in the number of connections that you needed to get in. You had to worry about the operational flexibility as well as the performance of all these folks who are coming in. And so that really was the basis for us to look at Anywhere Workspace, where an employee could work from literally from anywhere, could be working from, of course, their own offices, but could be working from the home, could be working from a park or a coffee shop. And that does introduce a host of problems. It also is an opportunity for VMware as we bring our solutions together to address the needs of both the enterprise as well as the service provider as the enterprises move to an anywhere operations company.
So this is primarily, Sanjay, an enterprise solution that enterprises can buy and use the services and the products any way they like. Is that correct? And are these pretty much customizable for each use case, or are there pretty general selections on the menu that they choose?
Yeah, it's a good question. So it is primarily targeted towards enterprises, but the enterprise is also served by communication service providers, formerly known as telcos. And so it's relevant for the telcos because the telcos provide a connectivity service today to those enterprises. And as they provide a connectivity service, they too are looking for higher values that they can bring to the enterprise, particularly as they're spending tens of billions of dollars as an example, on upgrading networks for 5G. So 5G clearly has a role to play with edge computing. It has a role to play because when you look at private 5G, it's going to be extended out to all places of an enterprise, including the home. So it has a role to play there as well. Now, in terms of customizability, this solution is meant to be software defined. So through changes in business policy, you can change how the network, as well as the security, as well as the operations work. And just to give you an example, we had a customer with almost 20,000 employees that started working from home in a fairly short period of time. In a period of about 9 days, they sent 9,000 folks to work from home. And we outfitted them with a version of the Anywhere Workspace. So that's one example, and fully customizable individuals working out of their home offices doing insurance work. And then on the other end of the spectrum, you have a small retail outfit who had only a small number of locations and their employees working out of the home. It's a different set of requirements that you would have. Scale would not be as important. Security would continue to be very important. And then there is no IT department in some of these smaller outfits. And so, it needs to be done completely from an outsourced fashion. So it is certainly customizable, and you have all kinds of changes that you can make along the security dimension, along the performance dimension, and along the operations dimension.
Choice and options are always good. They're never bad.
Yes, as long as they're simple to get done. Yes.
Yeah. And does VMware offer services to help smooth over some issues that a particular company might have? I assume you do have the services to go with it, right?
Yes, absolutely. So it's everything from the initial services to assess what the company needs. And so that's really from a consultative standpoint. And then you have the deployment services, because some of these solutions require a device to be put into the home. Some don't. The device is really used for power users. This is, as an example, in telemedicine, if you're sitting across from a radiologist, you want the connection to be of really high quality. On the other hand, if the employee is just doing light email work, then you don't need an edge device. You can just have a piece of software which comes from our Workspace ONE suite of solutions, and that solves the problem for that particular enterprise. So it covers the gamut, and you get those deployment services. And after deployment, there's continuous day 2 and beyond operations that are important as well. And those services are provided both by us as well as through an array of partners that we have, everything from the communication service providers to MSPs, value-added resellers, because VMware is a partner-oriented company.
Oh yeah, VMware is everywhere. Good. I was just curious about the edge device for a power user. What does that look like? Is it another laptop maybe that goes somewhere, or is it a little server, or what is it?
Yeah, so it's a little device that we call an edge, a VMware edge device. It looks and feels very similar to a Wi-Fi router. It's made from the perspective that it's friendly looking. It's also friendly to deploy. And the use of the device is that all of the traffic then is funneled through the device, and the device is able to make decisions based on which applications should have better performance, especially when there's contention in the network. Because what happened once the pandemic came in is that we really saw that the networks got quite congested to the home, not to the office, of course, because people were not in their offices anymore. And the congestion went up by a factor of 10. And when you had that, and then when you had applications like Zoom and others who allowed people to use them for free, and when the broadband providers removed the data caps, the traffic just skyrocketed. That brought congestion on. And when congestion comes on, you want to make sure that you prioritize, because in the home, it's not just the business person. Maybe there's a business person on a Zoom call, but perhaps there are some kids doing homework and somebody else is maybe watching a movie. Now, you want to prioritize the Zoom. On the other hand, you don't want to kill everybody else's performance, because the employee lives in the context of their home, which actually turns out to be a more difficult problem than solving just the branch office connectivity, which is filled with people who are only working for the business. So, we have the set of services, that's the question you asked, that cover the gamut from consultative services to services that people use to run and operate the solution.
Very good. Thank you for that detail, because that's exactly what I was driving at, and you touched on it for sure. Sanjay, is there anything else in this message that you would like eWEEK readers to know about that we haven't talked about yet, that is important? Because our readers are generally decision makers in IT, and they're generally seasoned professionals because we've been around a while, we've grown with them. So they'd be making decisions on this. What would you tell an experienced decision maker at a company about this solution that we haven't talked about?
Yeah, sure, Chris. So I am an avid reader of eWEEK, by the way. And so I think there are a couple of things I wanted to mention. This our Anywhere Workspace solution has 3 components to it, and the components can be mixed and matched according to what the needs of the enterprise and the CSP are. So the first part of the solution is VMware Workspace 1, which includes the endpoint management and the virtualization, as well as features that we have for improving security, as an example. And then we made purchase of a company called Carbon Black a little while ago, and Carbon Black brings together the endpoint, cloud native endpoint protection, detection, and response. And the third part of the solution is our VMware SASE portfolio. And SASE stands for Secure Access Service Edge. And that's the networking, security, and performance part of what we're bringing to the table. Now, the underpinning that I'd like to have everyone know, and there's been a lot of talk about zero trust. And zero trust is the underpinning of this solution. And I like to think of it very simply in terms of, I'll throw in a Game of Thrones analogy. So, when you say, nothing, Jon Snow, that's what zero trust is to me in a very crisp perspective. Because from an IT perspective, you don't know anything of the person coming in. You don't know what device they're coming in from. You don't even know where they're coming in from. And based on all of this, you've got to make decisions about who to let allow into your network, which applications they can access, for what period of time, and with what quality. So this zero trust underpinning, we think, is critically important. It ties our 3 pieces together to be able to make a solution for customers. And so, that's something that I wanted to mention as being a critical component as VMware has launched our Anywhere Workspace operations.
Great, and this is all available now. So this is great stuff. Thank you, Sanjay, for spelling those components out. I think that makes it really clear for a potential customer or partner or an employee at a company to understand. So I want to thank you for that. Our time is up right now, Sanjay. I want to thank you very much for your professional time today and letting us know about this. I think it's very important. And Sanjay Uppal, who is Senior Vice President of VMware. Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you, Chris. Thank you for giving me the opportunity to chat with you.
That's good. And for everybody following along to the end here, thank you so much. And have a great rest of your eWEEK. Thanks for joining us on eWEEK eSpeaks. Go to eWEEK.com to hear more conversations with IT thought leaders.